Hello, my name is Brant, and today is the third day of May 2020. And I wanted to talk to you about a subject that most people in my country, that is America, believe in voting. And what I'm going to state is simply voting is a tool that keeps you in bondage. So, in order for voting to work, is a belief system that you are putting someone in office to represent you and your values or your ideals. But this goes contrary to natural law because voting is a way to get back at my so-called enemies, those who do not agree with me. And that's what you're seeing today. It's far worse than it's ever been in my lifetime. Voting. What I mean by that is that one side, either the right or the left, meaning conservatives supposedly and liberal or progressives, seek to destroy their enemy. It's a form of belief. It's a belief system in a way that I can get back at you when I rather hurt you, but I can't do that because that's against the law. So I circumscribe a way of getting around that in order to hurt you because your beliefs are not like my beliefs. It's a form of hatred towards others. Now, I have not voted in the last, I think it's 8 years. I don't vote, and I will not vote. I took my name off the registration list, I think, a couple years ago, if I recall. So I wanted to make sure that that I would not be seen as a voter, even though I still get some material from politicians wanting me to vote for them. When I was a county chairman, not a county chairman, but worked as a precinct director of a precinct, which is where you vote at. It's what they call a precinct or polling place to vote. And I was in charge of that whole a little small group of about 3 or 4 of us. And what has taken place in my own lifetime is that we used to vote by paper ballots, and we would use what I call a little punch deal that would punch the little indentions in the ballot card, and then we would fold it, and then they would date it, and then you would get the little piece of it, and you just put it in the slot. So it was not supposed to be taken. The ballots were not supposed to be taken out until the end of the election, and they'd be counted. And then it would be counted simply by a computerized deal that basically would see all these little preparations, dots that have been preparated into the paper, and read those. But anyway, I'm kind of digressed again. Voting is simply giving your energy away. It's a way for you to not only hurt others, but it's also a belief system that believes that the politicians they really are looking out for me. When in reality, that is not true. They're not looking out at all about you. They don't care. That's why they're in Washington. That's why it's called D.C. That is why simply is that the laws they make do not affect them. They get whatever they want. They have their own health system, and they give you the worst part of it, the bottom end of it, per se. And you think, oh, this is great. This is super fantastic. I'm getting something from the government. No, you never get anything from the government. It always is, they'll get it back from you one way or the other. It's a way of just manipulating you and thinking that voting is, I've done my civil duty, or I'm a citizen, or as a better word for that is you're a subject. You are a subject to the king, although we don't use that word here in the United States. We use the word president, but it's the same thing, a system. It's a corporation. The United States is a corporation. That's why I refuse to refer to myself now as a U.S., as being a U.S. citizen, whatever you want to call it, or what, such and such, because the United States represents everything is wrong. I want to be called American. I don't want to be called the U.S., United States, this and that, because it's part of a corporatism. And so people they put little stickers on there and say, I voted, on their little car, on their shirts when they vote. They're so proud of themselves. And I used to be one of those, believe me. I began to see some things that were getting rotten in Denmark, that is. Not the country of Denmark, but just a saying here, that basically the ballots were not being, what I call, counted. There was a suspicion for me. I'm not saying that it was done here, but I am saying simply is it's an easy way to hack into the system and change the votes if you want to. That's what people don't understand. The problem is simply as if it was voting. But I don't even agree with voting anymore. You see, I was involved in politics enormously in a lot of ways. Ever since I went to college, my major was political science, and I was involved in politics. I was helping others to run for office. I was the county chairman for the Constitution Party here in my county. I was the Republican party leader of their club on USC Aiken's campus. I was involved in that. Actually, I started that in I want to say 83 or 82. I can't recall. Maybe. But anyway, there wasn't one there, and so I started it. But the point simply is that all it does is divide. Have you ever noticed that? I've noticed this here in America, that there are two political parties, just two. I mean, there are other parties, but you talk to people and they want to be free, supposedly. I mean, this is the thinking, but yet they won't vote for a third party or even look the other way. I'm not saying this right in looking at a third party, because now I realize simply the third parties are basically just another way of creating habit also. I'll talk to you about that another time too, and how history was done. One perfect example is the Bull Moose Party, when Theodore Roosevelt ran again in a way to allow Wilson to win the nomination. In other words, take votes away from a particular candidate and allow their other candidate to win. So it's always a way to put the person in the office. I also want to remind you simply is that all presidents, all those who run for office, especially for president, but there are other offices, but mainly for president, that they're actually kin to people in Europe. When we're talking about kings, royalty. So these people are not common people. These people eat with a silver spoon, not like me and you, who struggle to make it day by day. So I do want to point that out. Now, what I want to share also as I continue this is how we're it's not slowly, but rapidly deteriorating here in this country, is that I belonged at one time on a Facebook club here, a group that would give the opinions of people who were residents of Aiken, the city of Aiken or Aiken County. And I eventually got out of the group because it simply is that most people didn't agree with what I said. But not only that, nobody's really interested in the truth. They just aren't. So why am I doing this? Well, I'm hoping that some will see the truth. I can't change people's minds, but I'm also simply just practicing to be courageous in a world that basically is going down the tubes real quick. And so during this coronavirus deal, 19, and I watched people's their viewpoints and everything, and it appalled me, and it told me simply is there's really no hope. Those who believe in the system, so whatever, they are completely they're nuts. Um, Many of them are so opinionated and go along with everything that they wanted all businesses to be closed here in Aiken because of this virus. I mean, they really wanted the people to close their place, and they were living in fear. And you can see clearly how people are manipulated and how they become a part of a crowd and how they will destroy one another. They will. They will destroy one another. That means that simply is they will destroy financially somebody. And I remember an argument here with them was that there's a craft store here, and it's a pretty large craft store based out of Oklahoma. If you know that, you don't know the name, and I can't remember the name right now, so that's the reason I'm going to give you the name. But the point simply is that it was open, and they were angry because they were open. Now, it's now back open. I think May 1st they open on Friday, because I remember going by there on Saturday just by the place looking, and it was open. But it was just everywhere. Just the attitude was simply is fear, enormous fear that we can get something from somebody else. And if this was true, why are we? That's people will not even shake hands anymore. I did shake a guy's hand yesterday, and I didn't have a problem with it. It's not a disease, folks. You're being fooled. This was some type of test, I think, more than anything else, to find out, and they say it on video, to find out how people were going to react. And so what they've seen simply is how people have reacted. They know that it's just a matter of time they'll use the next deal and people will go along with it too. There's going to be a small minority that's going to say, no, we're not going to do it. But most are going to go along with it. And so it's a beta test. It was just a test, find out such and such. And it's sad that that's what we're come to. And I don't want to ramble on here, but my point was simply is that people will not allow people to live and let live. They are so bored or so anti-humanity or anti-human to one another that they seek to hurt each other. If that's not sickness, psychologically or whatever sickness, insanity or whatever you want to call it, I don't know what is, because it's foolishness. It's an attitude that basically is that I'm so fearful of you, and that's what's happening. So, and the government's using it for a reason. I mean, you can't meet with no more than 10 people because they don't want. See, that's already a form of martial law. Very clear. And then they say you're 6 feet apart. Well, why 6 feet apart? See, you got to ask questions. Well, 6 feet under. Does that do with that? Is that the next step? I don't know, but I know that simply is that they come up with these things, and people now. I went to a grocery store, and I would say 85 to 80% of the people now wear a mask, and they're not real masks. There's these cowboy type things, Indian type thing, not Indian, but a mask like to cover up. Um, they're not even real masks. When I say real masks, that are used in a doctor or hospital setting. So you can see how people are just pulled one way and pulled back the other way. And I think that's the key when I hear those who are seeing the big picture astronomically. I'm not astronomical, astrology is that we need to be balanced. We cannot be extreme one way or the other way. We must be balanced. We must also realize that the two pillars, this is where they want you to be, the sun, the moon, moon is where they want you at and not in the middle. That's why very few people are able to stand in their integrity of being who truly they are and know who they are. If we really knew who we were, there wouldn't be no form of any governments per se anywhere. There wouldn't be any sense of that. I would do right because it's the right thing to do. I have a book here. It's called Right is Might, and it is. It's not the other way around. You always hear the politicians saying, might is right. In reality, might is not right. That's just a man with the most military toys to destroy someone else. But right is might. And so you stand in your integrity that you're going to be who you are, no matter what. And you have to be. And in a lot of ways, that eventually that rallies other people. I know that does, to those who seek the light, seek truth. What's really so sad about this is that all of us were created and the point is simply is that we've always had the light within us, but we're intimidated, we've been educated to forget about those things and not be one with nature. And so we become disconnected. And most are disconnected. That's why they live in fear. So it's kind of sad. Anyway, we'll talk another time. I hope that this will be something that you can pass on to your friends and that you would delve into this, understand how you've been fooled by government itself, religion. I'll say one more thing here, and this is something, why would they need to control you? That is the government and the church. Why would they need to control you? You got to ask your questions yourself. I know I'm going over, but anyway, I just realized I had a point here I need to talk about. Is that why do they need to control you? If they didn't need to control you, then it would be natural law. When they prove that simply they got to control you by their laws, their rules, intimidate you, whatever, throw you in jail, whatever, they are proving that they're the adversary, that they do not seek the betterment of you. They seek to hurt you and do harm to you. And this is what is a huge red flag. It's very simple. As simply as I'm stating right now. Why do they need to control you? Because you're far greater than they are. You're far greater than they are. They are weak. And that's why they hide behind certain rules and regulations in order for them to steal and profit off of you. And you allow it to happen because you live in fear. This is a spiritual war here, folks. This is the whole caboodle here. It's a spiritual war. And you're going to have to stand and do what is right, or else you will pay the consequences. It's as simple as that. This is a testing ground. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity, a testing ground for you to purify yourself by all that's taking place before us. As I would say, purify you in all kinds of stress and pressure and fire to find out the metal of who you really are, and to bring about the virtues that are inside you that need to come out. That's what a lot of this is about. This is not by coincidence at all. This is taking place because this is the time for you to grow up and see. And that's what 2020 means to me. Is, I would say, vision. Oh, I have 2020 vision, meaning I see everything. I no longer close my eyes, but I see the truth. I see what's going on around me, and we'll call it out for what it is. It's evil. In order, for you to, you must stand against evil, and that's what good is about. You must stand against evil. And what is taking place in our own lives is the pressure upon what's taking place in the laws, the power, whatever it is. They're sending messages, whatever it is, to quote unquote, to make you fearful. And if you fall in that trap, then you won't see the truth. You won't. It's very clear. Anyway, today's a nice day. I need to get outside and enjoy it. But I wanted to do this short video, and I appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.